To understand the genius of the Smith & Wesson M&P, one must first understand the world into which it was born. In the early 2000s, the landscape of the handgun market was not a democracy. It was a dictatorship. A single Austrian name reigned supreme: Glock. The company had so completely and utterly dominated the polymer-framed, striker-fired pistol market that its name had become a generic trademark, a synonym for the very concept of a modern handgun. It was the pistol of choice for the majority of American law enforcement, a cultural icon, and the undisputed benchmark for reliability. But this monolithic king, for all its power, had a subtle but profound Achilles heel. A rigid, unwavering design philosophy of one size fits all. The Glock's grip, with its distinctive angle and blocky profile, was a take-it-or-leave-it proposition. For the millions of shooters whose hands it fit, it was perfection. For the millions of others, it was an object of immense frustration. They respected its flawless function, but they could never truly befriend it. It was a tool you were forced to adapt to, not one that adapted to you. A silent, massive fissure had formed at the very foundation of Glock's empire, an unmet need for a pistol that could be all things to all people. Into this fissure stepped a fallen giant. Smith & Wesson, the legendary American company that had once armed nearly every police officer in the nation with its iconic revolvers, had been humiliated in the polymer pistol wars. Their most recent attempt to challenge Glock, a pistol called the Sigma, had been a reputational and legal catastrophe. Released in 1994, the Sigma was such a shameless internal and external clone of the Glock 17 that Glock filed a lawsuit for patent infringement. The case was settled out of court, with S&W agreeing to alter the Sigma's design, and, according to industry reports, paying a substantial financial settlement to Glock. The Sigma was a failure, a black eye that branded Smith & Wesson as followers, not innovators. By the early 2000s, they knew they had one last chance to reclaim their legacy. The project, codenamed Military and Police, or M&P, a deliberate and prideful callback to their most famous revolver, the Model 10 M&P, was their shot at redemption. The goal was not to build another Glock clone. The goal was to study the king, identify his one great weakness, and build a new dynasty upon the rock of a single powerful idea: true, uncompromising versatility. Part 2. Ergonomics, the science of defeating a legend. Smith & Wesson's engineers knew they could not beat Glock at its own game. Trying to create a pistol that was mechanically more Glock than Glock was a fool's errand that had already led them to ruin with the Sigma. So they changed the battlefield. The fight for supremacy would not be won on the grounds of internal mechanics, but in the palm of the human hand. The M&P project became an obsessive, groundbreaking study in ergonomics, a master class in human-centered design that directly attacked Glock's greatest and most overlooked vulnerability. The result was a pistol that felt less like a tool you held and more like a natural extension of your body. And it was built on a foundation of brilliant, user-focused innovations. The most revolutionary of these was a stroke of simple, undeniable genius: the interchangeable palm swell grip system. Before the M&P, a pistol's grip was a fixed, immutable object. If it didn't fit your hand, your only options were to live with it, apply clumsy grip tape, or buy a different gun. S&W offered a solution. Each M&P shipped with 3 easily replaceable backstraps, marked small, medium, and large. Using a simple tool integrated into the pistol's frame, a user could swap these panels in under a minute, fundamentally changing the size and feel of the grip. This was a seismic shift in handgun design. For the first time, a single pistol model could be perfectly tailored to fit a massive range of hand sizes. A police department could now issue the exact same weapon to a towering 250-pound male officer and a petite 120-pound female officer, ensuring both had a secure, effective grip. It democratized the firearm, making it accessible and comfortable for everyone. And it instantly made the M&P the most friendly and adaptable pistol on the market. Beneath this overt innovation lay a more subtle but equally critical design choice: the 18-degree grip angle. S&W's research and development team delved into the science of natural point of aim. They studied the historical gold standard, the Colt 1911, which was lauded by marksmen for its intuitive 18-degree grip angle that seemed to align the sights on target by instinct alone. They also studied their main competitor, the Glock, whose more aggressive 22-degree grip angle was a point of contention for many shooters, often causing them to point the muzzle high when drawing and presenting the weapon under stress. The M&P was deliberately engineered with that classic, time-tested 18-degree angle. The effect was immediate and profound. For millions of shooters, particularly those with a background in other platforms, picking up an M&P for the first time felt like a homecoming. The gun simply pointed where they looked, eliminating the need for the subconscious mental and physical corrections required to shoot a Glock accurately. This obsessive focus on the user extended to every curve and contour of the design. The M&P featured a very low bore axis, meaning the barrel sits closer to the shooter's hand. This is a critical engineering detail because it directs recoil energy straight back into the shooter's arm, rather than leveraging it upwards, which significantly reduces muzzle flip and allows for faster, more accurate follow-up shots. It came from the factory with a fully ambidextrous slide stop and a reversible magazine catch, making it one of the few pistols of its era that was equally functional for both right and left-handed shooters right out of the box. Even the slide serrations were a subject of intense study, resulting in a unique, scalloped, fish scale pattern that provided a positive gripping surface without being overly abrasive. Every single point of interaction between the human and the machine was analyzed, refined, and optimized for one purpose: to create a pistol that didn't force the shooter to adapt, but instead adapted itself to the shooter. Part 3. Under the Hood. More than just plastic. While the revolutionary ergonomics of the M&P were its most visible selling point, the innovations ran far deeper than the external polymer shell. The engineers at Smith Wesson, tasked with building a pistol that could not just compete with but surpass Glock in terms of durability and performance, reimagined the very architecture of what a polymer-framed handgun could be. They designed an internal structure that provided a level of strength and rigidity that was, at the time, a significant evolutionary leap in polymer pistol design, addressing the subtle flex and long-term wear concerns that critics sometimes leveled against their Austrian rival. The secret to this enhanced durability lies hidden within the polymer frame, a rigid, full-length stainless steel chassis system. In a Glock and many of its clones, the frame is the polymer shell itself. Small steel tabs are embedded into the polymer to serve as the rails on which the slide reciprocates. In the M&P, Smith & Wesson took a different approach, akin to the chassis of a race car. They created a robust, U-shaped steel skeleton that runs nearly the entire length of the polymer frame. This steel chassis contains the fire control group, the trigger, sear, and associated parts, and most importantly, provides 4 long, solid steel rails for the slide to ride on. This design accomplishes several critical things. First, it makes the entire weapon system incredibly rigid and resistant to flexing during the violent recoil cycle, which is a key contributor to mechanical accuracy and longevity. Second, it means that all the critical operational stress and wear and tear is contained within a steel-on-steel interface, not steel-on-polymer. Legally in the United States, this steel chassis is the firearm. It's the component that bears the official serial number. This modular design theoretically allows a user to swap the entire polymer grip module for different sizes or colors, a concept that Sig Sauer would later popularize with their P320 platform. However, no design is without its compromises, and the initial Achilles heel of the first-generation M&P was its trigger. In an effort to make the pistol as safe as possible and appeal to risk-averse police departments transitioning from long, heavy, double-action revolver triggers, S&W designed the M&P with a trigger that was notoriously mushy. It had a long, indistinct take-up, a vague break, and an almost imperceptible reset. A distinctive feature was its hinged design, where the lower half of the trigger pivoted to disengage a safety. While this made it very difficult to fire the gun unintentionally, it was widely criticized by experienced shooters for its lack of tactile feedback. Yet, the true versatility of the platform shone through in how S&W responded. The massive aftermarket industry immediately began producing improved triggers, and S&W themselves listened intently to the feedback. With the release of the M&P M2.0 in 2017, they introduced a completely redesigned trigger system with a crisp break, a clean pull, and a loud, tactile reset that was instantly hailed as one of the best factory striker-fired triggers on the market. This evolution proved that the underlying M&P platform was so sound that it could not only accept criticism, but adapt and improve, eventually turning its biggest weakness into one of its greatest strengths. Part 4. A family replaces the lone wolf. Smith & Wesson's strategy for conquering the market was not just to build a better pistol, but to build a better ecosystem. They understood that Glock's one-size-fits-all philosophy was not just an ergonomic limitation, it was a product line limitation. While Glock offered their pistol in different sizes, the core product remained largely singular in its purpose. Smith & Wesson saw an opportunity to create a true family of firearms, a diverse and interconnected lineup of pistols all built on the same M&P platform, sharing the same core features, manual of arms, and design language. This approach allowed them to attack every single segment of the handgun market simultaneously, from military contracts and police departments down to the explosive civilian concealed carry market. The versatility of the M&P was not just about a single gun. It was about having the right gun for every conceivable need, all under one familiar banner. At the heart of this strategy was the flagship M&P 9. This was the full-sized 17-round duty pistol designed to go head-to-head with the Glock 17. It was the foundation of the family, intended for open carry by law enforcement, for home defense, and as a primary handgun for military service. Its size provided a long sight radius for enhanced accuracy and a large capacity, making it the ideal all-purpose service weapon. From this foundation, the family grew. The M&P 9C Compact was released as the direct answer to the Glock 19. By slightly shortening the barrel and grip, S&W created a pistol that was small enough for comfortable concealed carry by detectives and civilians, but still large enough to accommodate a double-stack magazine, initially 12 rounds, and a full firing grip. It was the do-it-all model, the perfect compromise between concealability and capability. But the true Masterstroke, the weapon that arguably did more to cement the M&P's legacy than any other, was the M&P Shield. Released in 2012, the Shield was not just a smaller M&P, it was a paradigm shift. Smith & Wesson's designers correctly identified the single biggest trend in the civilian market: the demand for ultra-thin, comfortable, and reliable pistols for everyday concealed carry. Instead of just chopping down the M&P 9C, they redesigned the platform from the ground up as a single-stack, subcompact pistol. The resulting M&P Shield was incredibly thin, less than an inch wide, lightweight, and yet it retained all the familiar ergonomics, the 18-degree grip angle, and the proven reliability of its larger siblings. It was an instant, runaway success, selling millions of units and becoming the go-to concealed carry pistol for a generation of new gun owners. It was the final, critical piece of the puzzle. This family approach created a seamless, powerful synergy. A police department could now equip its entire force with a single, unified platform. Patrol officers could carry the full-sized M&P 9, while detectives carried the M&P 9C. The department's armorers only needed to be trained on one weapons system. Crucially, an officer who carried a duty M&P 9 could then go out and purchase an M&P Shield for their personal off-duty use. And their muscle memory, the placement of the controls, the feel of the trigger, the angle of the grip, would remain perfectly consistent. Smith & Wesson didn't just sell pistols. They sold a comprehensive, top-to-bottom solution. This ecosystem, where every niche was filled by a specialized yet familiar tool, was something Glock's lone wolf approach simply could not match. Part 5. The verdict. The Swiss Army knife of handguns. So, what is the final verdict? Why, in a market saturated with countless excellent polymer-framed pistols, has the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 earned the title of the most versatile handgun platform in the world? The answer is because it was meticulously engineered from its very inception, not to be the ultimate tool for a single specific task, but to be an adaptable, user-centric platform for all tasks. It is the Swiss Army knife in a world of specialized blades. Its success is not a happy accident. It is the result of a deliberate and brilliant strategy built upon three distinct pillars of versatility. First is versatility for the user. Through its revolutionary interchangeable backstrap system and its carefully researched 18-degree grip angle, the M&P was the first pistol to truly acknowledge that shooters are not a monolith. It was designed to be customized to fit the individual, a philosophy that turned the traditional gun-buying experience on its head. This focus on ergonomics made it the single most accessible and shootable platform for the widest possible range of people, from law enforcement agencies with diverse rosters to families with multiple members who might need to use the same home defense firearm. It is a pistol that does not demand the user to have the right hands, but instead adapts itself to the hands of the user. Second is versatility for the mission. Smith & Wesson correctly identified that a single pistol, no matter how well designed, cannot be the perfect solution for every application. Instead of offering one lone wolf, they built a comprehensive family. The M&P ecosystem provides a specialized, purpose-built tool for every conceivable need: duty, concealed carry, home defense, and competition, all while maintaining a consistent feel, manual of arms, and training regimen. This allows an individual or an organization to invest in a single platform and have a top-tier solution for every niche. This systemic approach is what allowed the M&P to permeate every corner of the market, offering a level of mission-specific adaptability that no single standalone model could ever hope to achieve. Finally, there is versatility in operation. The M&P is a firearm of remarkable balance. It is simple, safe, and intuitive enough for a first-time gun owner. With a low bore axis and manageable recoil that inspire confidence. Yet its robust internal steel chassis, inherent mechanical accuracy, and the proven ability of the platform to evolve, as seen with the M2.0 improvements, provide a high-performance foundation that can be fully exploited by a professional operator or a competitive shooter. It is a platform with both a low barrier to entry and a very high-performance ceiling. The triumph of the Smith & Wesson M&P is ultimately a story of strategy and intelligence. They did not try to kill Glock with brute force. They outmaneuvered it. They studied the undisputed king, respectfully learned from his strengths, identified his one great weakness, a lack of adaptability, and built their entire empire around solving it. The M&P is the ultimate proof that in the 21st century firearms market, the most successful design is not necessarily the one that forces the user to conform, but the one that has the humility and the genius to conform to its user.